I got a 4A-C blown apart on my workbench right now, getting ready to slap it back together. This is going to go into a future project that I haven't exactly unveiled yet, but I'll show it to you guys hopefully in the next couple of weeks. This thing's fresh out of the machine shop. I spent a little bit more on it than I really wanted to, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Now, I got to get you guys kind of caught up, so in order to know how we got here, we'll go ahead and rewind some time and show you what led us to this moment. Wait, not exactly that far back. Hold on. All right, so this is supposedly an 80,000 mile 4A-C. I was told there was like 80-some thousand in the marketplace post, but you know, anyone can fib those numbers. A little bit of spray paint and some new plugs will make anything seem like it's way low mileage. So, not saying I don't trust the guy or I think he was dishonest, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it is actually up to snuff and up to par before we go ahead and throw this thing on. Now, this is a Swirlport or quote-unquote wavy head 4A-C, and you can tell by the waves right over there. So, these engines, Corollas, Novas, and a handful of other different various oddball cars, but primarily in the U.S. market, it would be Corollas and Novas. Straight valve covers, very similar to the 3A-C valve cover, only made 72 horsepower, which is still 10 more than a factory 3A-C would be. Now, there are other various engines that will fit in these cars, 4AFs, 4AGEs, things like that. We're going to cover some of that on another video later on down the road with another project, but for now, we're going to go ahead and strip this motor down, like I said, plug in all the 3A-C parts that we need to make it work, and we'll throw it together and throw it in the car. So, a few things that are different. The fuel pump and this dust shield over here are a little bit different. This will probably work between the two, but I'm going to go ahead and put the correct original 3A-C fuel pump on it, just so that way I don't have to deal with any potential bending of my fuel lines, because the 3A-C ones come straight up, and these are like hard 90s. So the other part that's a little bit different is the water pump itself. This is a 4-pulley water pump. So a 3A-C water pump will bolt right onto this. You can technically use a 4A-C water pump and a 4A-C pulley as long as you have everything. It just the ribs are a little bit wider, and so the belt won't exactly fit super centered. So I'm going to go ahead and play it safe and order a new water pump. These are like 30-40 bucks for an Asian one, so that's not that much money. It's worth changing while I have everything apart. And all these brackets right here are not the same. Same with over here. And then this oil pressure sensor is a wired one, whereas ours is wired as well, but the connector that goes to the end of it is a little bit different. So there's probably ways you could change the wiring harness to make it work, but a brand new sensor is like $6 or $7 on Rock Auto, so I'm gonna go ahead and change that as well. So there's another bracket down over here that's a little bit different, and then this is an automatic. Flywheel's a lot different. So these rubber grommets are separating and getting in my way. Now, I'd encourage you, when pulling this valve cover off, that this grommets do the same thing. Do not pry along the center of this. This is aluminum. They flex pretty easily. There is notches in these corners over here that you can pretty easily get something inside and kind of pop it up. You can see how it's kind of about ready to pop off. Sometimes they do just thread off like this. It's like almost like they create a thread when they're mashed together. Moment of truth. Ooh. Doesn't look too bad. Definitely looks dirty, but we can clean this up. Doesn't seem to have any sludge buildup, so that's good. There's some oil staining, but that's expected. Oil tends to do things like that. So camshaft lobes appear to be pretty nice. The lash feels relatively spot on. Maybe a hair on the loose side, which is better than tight. These thermal vacuum static valves are very, very hard to find. They show up on eBay every so often, but they are way overpriced. The fact that this one's not broken means I gotta save this. This is a GMB water pump. If you look at a GMB versus an Asian, I personally see a quality difference when it comes to the way the, I don't know, you'd call it the part that makes the water pump pump water. Just looks a lot deeper, better quality. Nothing wrong with the GMB pump. Not trying to crap talk them as a company, but yeah, it's got some rust in it. She may have been running just water. And we're gonna go ahead and get this piece off right here, which is a 12. That should have freed all this up. Yep, there we go. Now I can reutilize this backing piece for the 4A-C. This thing's in really good shape. I'm gonna replace the thermostat because they're cheap. And then all the O-rings and stuff are here, which the O-ring is an O-ring 112. You can get them fairly cheap in kits. And these are sealed shut. Well, we'll spray some penetrating oil on. Take care of that in some time. No rush right now. Oh boy. Dropping bolts. Go ahead and pull the head off. Yep. All right, no whammy, no whammy. Ooh, that does not look pretty. Well, this thing was not running the best. There's no ring ridge at the top. It actually feels really good. There's a little bit of carbon, but there's nothing catching my nail. And I see cross hatching. Let me get a flashlight out. You can see some cross hatching. It's possible that's been honed. I can't see, there's no real stamping on these to show that these are overboard or anything like that. So these are probably just stock pistons. Maybe there's a little bit of, I might just be seeing something. Oh no. It looks like it says 0.050. Ooh, coolant. All right, so this oil pan, it's a little bit wider than the 4A-C oil pan. Here's a 4A-C oil pan for comparison. It's kind of hard to tell, but they are cut a little bit shorter to clear the front differential. So if you try using this oil pan, it will not fit in your car. There's two styles of Tercel Wagon and hatch and sedan oil pans. There's a kind that has this little recessed notch, and then there's a kind that uses that has no notch and uses like a 14mm wrench to pull the drain plug off. These are like 19 or something like that. They're a bit notorious for leaking, so if you ever use one of these and you can't stop a leak, I would recommend a Dowdy washer. I believe I'm pronouncing that properly. Those are the best thing that I found to fix leaks. But anyway, let's go pull this pan off, see how it looks underneath. So this pickup tube is a little bit shorter than the one for a 4A-C. So you want to make sure you swap that pickup tube out. This is a 4A-C oil pan pickup tube. You can see the height difference right there. It's probably not a huge deal if you didn't swap this out, but I would encourage you to do it. I'm going to go ahead and mark which piston is which. These connecting rods are specific per piston. Everything's balanced accordingly to where it all sits. So if you just kind of link and log through all this stuff together and mix where these sit up, your tolerances are going to get thrown off. I'm not going to go ahead and risk it. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make sure I keep everything in order, everything oriented properly, and that way, after everything's cleaned, everything's been replaced, I can go through it, put it all back together, and in theory, have no issues. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to mark the side with a 1, a 2 dots, 3 dots, and 4 dots. You can do this with a stamp set and do numbers. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. Top for this, so I'm going to go ahead and just take my hammer and I'm going to put 1 dot right in the center of this. There's a dot, and I'm going to put 1 as well on the connecting rod. Oop, just kidding, I'm going to miss and almost smashed my hand. There we go. There's a decent sized dot. Okay, we'll move on to cylinder number 2. And I'm going to do 2 dots. Same down here. Oop. I ended up missing a little bit right there. All right. Now, go ahead and just push this down ever so slightly. All right. And now back up with this. I'm gonna go ahead and put these back in the same direction, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and re-stamp these on the bench nice and clear, just so there is no confusion. Okay, next up we're gonna go ahead and bolt the crankshaft. Got all the covers and everything all separated from it, so nothing else is holding this in other than these 5 caps right here. These are from the factory stamped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with an arrow pointing forward, so thankfully they're not hard to mix up. Now, out comes this crankshaft. All right, so here's everything pretty well split apart. Block is down, or block is done, block is empty. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything cleaned. And looking at this crankshaft, these bearings have, let's see, 0.25. Let's see if it focuses right there. That's the block to the crank, and this is the connecting rods. So these, what happens is they kind of cut these a little bit, and then the bearing kind of compensates for the difference. But you can look inside and see there's some scoring. So I'm not particularly comfortable myself with making the call on if this needs to get polished or if this is good to go. I believe it's like you can let a couple of thousandths go without there being too big of issues, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring this crank to a machine shop, get a second opinion before I go ahead and go real crazy. You got a little bit of a piece right in there. Oh, that's not good at all. This piston's cracked. We aren't using any of this. This is getting new pistons now. Sheesh. Well, that answers that, I guess. Bummer. Cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. I know it's a little bit odd how I have it laid in here, but this is cylinder 2 and 3. There's cracked ring lands on both of these. And it did have some already undersized bearings. Right there they are 0.25. So this crank has been turned. So I'm going to bring it to the machine shop, see if they think it's good. If not, I'm going to go ahead and just pick up another one. I found some on eBay for like 90 bucks. So I think I might just run a brand new crank in it and play it safe. But OEM aftermarket stuff, you know, I want to make this a 100,000 mile motor. So I don't know. We'll go drop it over to the machine shop and we'll see what they say. Hopefully good news. Well, here she all is loaded up. Let's go to the machine shop. What? That leads us to right here, right now. Rebuild's actually already began. I am partway through slapping it back together. In the next video, it'll all be done, and then I can unveil the car it's going into. Super excited to get hammering away on this thing. It's been a long winter. I got a ton of stuff planned for this year. We're going to finally paint the rally car. I'm going to do it myself. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous if I'm being completely honest, but I know we can do it. I'm going to get the Model A going. Hopefully at the very end of the year, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to do a manual transmission swap in the Carib, which that will be amazing. So stick around. Got a ton of videos coming out this summer. I absolutely cannot wait. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the little like button, all that sort of stuff. It really genuinely does help out. If you made it this far in the video, thanks a ton. Really means a lot. And hopefully warm weather will be here soon and we can start hammering away at all these projects because I have been itching to turn some wrenches. Took this winter off and maybe it wasn't the smartest idea because I've really missed wrenching. But anyway, that's all I got for me today. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll catch you guys at the next one when we finally get this motor together. So stay tuned for that. Adios.